Scott Montgomery here.
We love you, Francisco.
Hey, man. I love you too. I was supposed to do a monologue tonight, but I have to wrap this Christmas present before I leave town tomorrow, and I was wondering if I could just like wrap it and chat, and then you could keep me company as I wrap the present. Yeah. Okay. Is that okay? I should preface this by saying I'm a terrible rapper. Insert joke here. I'm wrapping this like Christmassy scarf.
Perfect.
This okay, great. This Christmas tree scarf, and then I am putting this is me. This is like putting this in here. And I'm gonna tape it together and wrap. This scarf is for. It's kind of hard to explain. I'm wondering if I should tell you the long version or the short version. Yeah, so we're kidding, we're doing long version. Yes, so where do I start with this? I guess I should start at the beginning. Okay, so my first after-school job growing up was at Applebee's. Eating good in the neighborhood. That was the slogan at the time. This is back east. You guys know Applebee's?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, if you've never been there, it's pretty good. It's like boneless buffalo wings and big lemonades and sticky tables. Yeah. And I worked as a host. I was at the host stand. I did not work as one of the servers, which I was perfectly happy with, TBH. The servers seemed to hate their lives and were very mean. And I was the youngest person working there by far. I was 16 years old. And basically, I just stand at the host stand and like greet you and say like happy holidays and see you and like sometimes wipe down tables. But anyway, this was back in North Carolina. I think I was hey. Back in North Carolina. Okay, so this all started on December 22nd. And I remember this because this was the coldest night in North Carolina history. So everyone who was coming into the restaurant was like bundled up, like pink cheeks and sniffy noses coming in, like trying to get out of the cold and like be warmed up and have some boneless buffalo wings. And this guy walks in, and he was about my age, and you know how like you see people sometimes and you automatically can just like see the future with them? Like you get like a That's So Raven vision of you can like see the whole thing like all the way through. And like you see somebody and it's like, well, that person's gonna be a recurring guest star in my life, or series regular, I don't know. But you've read the book of your relationship, but you have to live through like the movie adaptation because you don't. There's a really good metaphor in there somewhere. Sorry, I got this at Shark Tank. Watch.
Oh my gosh!
Be careful! Be careful!
What?
I didn't come here to sell these. I just came. Oh no, I didn't. I told you I'm bad. Okay, well, the story just got longer. So let me see what I can do. So this guy walks in, and just imagine like the cutest guy you've ever seen in your entire life. I know that's like subjective, but he was like a teenager about my age, and he was like brown skin, green eyes, and the second that he walked in, we like immediately locked eyes, and we didn't know each other, obviously. We never said anything to each other before, but we just started having this kind of like eye conversation because his parents were like they were in a very bad mood. They seemed really frustrated. They probably just like came from the mall or something like that. They were very cold to each other. Let's call them the Frosts. So the Frosts were there, and his mother was very mad that she had to wait 20 minutes for her big lemonades at her sticky table. And so like we just started like rolling our eyes at each other at his parents, like we'd known each other forever. And so then when I finally sat them, it's like he knew all the unspoken rules of this secret game we were playing because he sat directly in my eye line. So I'm at the host stand, I'm like seating people, and I can see him directly, and we're like continuing our eye conversation. It was very like sexy and charming. And so like throughout dinner, I was like, this is not gonna be good. This is not gonna be good. Throughout dinner, I was just like checking in with him and like continuing that. But at a certain point, he was looking down because his dad and his mom got in some kind of argument. And it was like pretty heated. He was like looking down. In fact, it was so like intense that one of my managers, Mario, came over to try to see what was going on. And I was trying to pay attention to what the argument was about, but then this like party of 12 came in that had like 4 high chairs, so I had to like take care of them and like seat them and all that stuff. And then by the time I came back, that they had left. I know, the frost had gone. I was like so sad because I was like, wait, what? So like, then I worked the next night. I worked the 23rd. Told you I'm not good. And the whole time I was at work, I was just like hoping that he would come in, like with his family. I mean, like who like eats at Applebee's 2 nights in a row? No shade if you've done that. It's a very big menu. And so I was like checking in, but then by the end of the night, I'm gonna cut another piece, I think, and like put it over there. So you get to see how it works again. This thing is called the Little Elf.
Oh my gosh, it's so cute.
Isn't that cute? Let me see if I can figure. Okay. So yeah, so that next night, the 23rd. Excuse me. The next night, the 23rd. Well, I planned that because that's all that I need. So the next night, he doesn't come in, and my other boss, Geraldine, has me do a. She was like, she wanted me to do She wanted me to do a winter wonderland scene with this like fake white stuff to like put on the windows in front of Applebee's because even though it was December 23rd, the restaurant just plain wasn't Christmassy enough. And everyone assumes because I'm gay, I'm good at artistic stuff, but I'm not. So I did a really poor, like not good winter wonderland scene, and I stayed very late. But then guess what happened?
He came in.
He didn't come in. What happened was, as I was leaving, this is gonna have to do it. As I was leaving, he was there in the parking lot. And he was just standing there in this like shiny black puffy coat, just in the cold, just standing there. And it started to snow at that point. That was like, there was a blizzard that week. Yeah, so it was starting to snow, and the first thing I ever said to him was, "What are you doing out here?" Like, I was mad at him because this wasn't the plan, and like, but we didn't know each other, so we immediately just started talking, and even though we were talking about like snow and job applications, like our eyes continued to say something else. And he had a gap in his teeth, and his voice was like raspy and like higher than I was expecting somehow. And his name, I'm not gonna tell you his name. I'm not sure why, I'm just not going to. Let's call him Jack. So me and Jack talk, and it was very, very cold, and the snow was coming down. At this point, it was like, I think it was like midnight, and I did something kind of dangerous and crazy. I don't know why I did this, but I was like, "Do you want to come over?" And even though my parents are at home, and I'm 16, like, what am I doing? And he kind of stands there for a while, looks at me, and goes, "Sure." And so we got in my car. And we started the drive back to my house from Applebee's. And I lived very close to Applebee's. It was just like a song's drive away. We like listened to the radio. Instead of me asking any questions that a normal person would, like, "Who are you? How did you get to Applebee's? Did you drive there? What are you doing there? What are we doing?" We just listened to, it was "Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree" by Brenda Lee, which is the #1 song in the country right now. Do you know she was 13 when she recorded that?
Yeah.
And so that song's very short. You know how short, that's the distance Applebee's was from my house. And I park, and we were laughing because when you hear "Rock Around the Christmas Tree" again, notice how it sounds like she says, "Later we'll have some fucking pie and do some caroling." I think he pointed that out. It was funny. So we get back to the house, and I like park, sneak him upstairs, and like I get into the room, shut the door, and then he's just kind of standing there, Jack Frost, like with a dopey grin on his face. And I was like, "What are we doing?" I cranked up the heat. He's very cold, so like he took off his jacket, and then we just jumped into bed. Not how you think. This was a PG-rated evening because we were just so cold that like we just get in bed like fully bundled up, and I put on a DVD of like Christmas cartoons that I'd found in like Walmart and like the 50-cent bin. And do you remember DVDs? This was like 15 years ago. So we like watched this DVD, and it's like kind of cute and fun at first. Then the cartoons are very creepy, but we just like, we cuddled like 0 to 60, just like holding each other, and we fell asleep. And I remember that night I felt like I was like trying to warm him up the whole night, because whenever I would feel like the back of his neck or like a peak of skin between the bottom of his shirt and the top of his jeans. He was just so cold. He just felt like a cool stone statue, like this green-eyed icicle with a great butt. And we cuddled, and then the next morning, I wake up and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? There's like this boy in my bed. It was like 10 a.m. This was Christmas Eve. This is the 24th. And I was like, we have to sneak you out. We're like, my parents are downstairs. Like, we gotta get you home for Christmas Eve. And instead he goes, can I stay? And I was like, what? No, you have to, it's Christmas Eve. You have to be with your families on Christmas Eve. But then the more I thought about it, it didn't seem so crazy. And he kind of looked at me like he couldn't go home. And so he stayed in my room. And I went downstairs, we went to my grandma's house for Christmas Eve dinner while he was staying at my house in my room. And we were like sitting at dinner, and I remember we're going around sharing Christmas memories, and the whole time thinking like, there's a guy in my room right now. My diary that's not very well hidden in my underwear drawer is, I was like, I don't know if this person might come home and it's like, my mom's jewel's gonna be stolen, I don't know. So like, we get home and I like race upstairs to see where he is. He's not in my room, he's in my closet. And he's back bundled up, standing there in my closet, and he's like, looks like we're supposed to go on a snowy hike or something, and he's been waiting and I'm late. And I was like, what are you doing in here? He's like, I was cold. And we got out of the closet, I went downstairs, and I clocked some hot chocolate FaceTime with my parents really quick, and then I pulled the like, I'm too excited for Prezzies tomorrow, I have to go to bed now. And so I went upstairs, and when I came upstairs, I had a Christmas tree in my room, like a really, like Charlie Brown status, like a little one. And he was just kind of staring at it. And I went up behind him and I was like, what's going on, are you okay? And he turned around and he looked at me and he kissed me, cold. And we put the creepy DVD back on and we got back into bed and we held each other even tighter that second night. And sleeping with him was like, you know how in the middle of the night you flip your pillow over because it gets hot, you're like, I'm on cool side of the pillow. Sleeping with him was like perpetual cool side the whole night. And even though we were intertwined like Christmas pretzels, when I woke up in the morning he was gone. I don't know how, because we were so, but at some point he had left, and I walked downstairs, and my mom was like, Merry Christmas, my dad's like filming everything, and I'm kind of like looking around, like wondering where he went or what happened to him, and we opened presents, and I was pretty distracted that morning. And later that afternoon, my mom was looking at the newspaper, and she got like kind of misty-eyed looking at something, and I was like, what is that? And she's like, we don't need to see it, and kind of put the newspaper away, but curiosity got the best of me. And I went and I looked, and there was an article about a boy who had run away from home, and they had found his body. Just in the woods near where my house was. And there was a picture, and it was him. But the weird thing is, the article said that he had run away the night of the 22nd, and he froze to death that night. And they had only just found his body. And I was like, he had just been... But then I thought, why did he come to Applebee's, and why... like, why all of that? But then I thought about how cold he was. And I've never spoken about him. I've never really told people about it, because it's like I couldn't speak about it, I couldn't say the words. So I do this little thing every Christmas where I get an article of clothing, like mittens or a hat or a scarf, and I'll do this week when I go back to North Carolina. On Christmas Eve, I go to the spot where his body was found, and I leave the present there. And I cannot explain it, and I don't know how it happens, but every single Christmas Day, I go back there and the present is gone. And I like to think that he finds it somehow, and that he opens it, and that it keeps him warm. If he gets this, I hope he likes it. I think he'd look cute in it.